Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Amanda. Today is the 26th of June, 2024, and we have reason to celebrate today. Today is the day that Julian Assange finally lands back on Australian soil after many, many years away, including a number of years incarceration in UK prisons. So, I'm just thrilled. I'm delighted for him, for Stella, for his family, for all of us that have basically supported him over a number of years. On this channel, we have championed the case of Julian for a number of years, done quite a few videos on it. Throughout all of those videos, there was always this strand of hope that one day he would be free. And, you know, watching the news this morning and his father speaking, I actually heard his father say words that had come out of my very mouth a couple of videos back. He said something about the fact that he can't wait, or Julian had said he can't wait to feel the sand between his toes. And I know I saw that in a vision for him, and I'm just so delighted it's coming true. So I'm recording this at 20 to 11 in the UK in the morning. As of yet, he has not done the press conference, which I believe will have taken place by the time this video goes up. But I wanted to come on this morning just to share a few things that I thought were particularly pertinent, because I do feel as though this is a pivotal moment. It's a pivotal moment for the light. And I'd like to explain why I feel that is the case. I'd also like to talk about some of the celestial energies that were around his release, as well as practical human support, feet on the ground, basically, boots on the ground. I want to talk about Saipan, which is the island that he flew to en route to Australia, because that has a very interesting history linked into war and in the past, and it may also be again. Obviously, Julian was about many things, but one of the things was about exposing war crimes. So I want to talk about Saipan. I want to talk about the energy of what I want to call the powers that were, the ones that feel as though they may be losing their grip on the old world, and that's going to increasingly be a fragile state to be when we cling on to the old, because there is a new earth arising. And before we get into some of the numerology around his release, some of the celestial energies around his release, taking a look further into the future with regards to how he's going to be doing, I'm going to start with one particular card that I pulled off camera, but is so perfectly beautiful, I can't believe it. So we'll do that. Also, just to say, I am recording this in a week where I'm having some work done on my home, so you might hear some sawing, some drilling. It's not too bad, to be honest. If it gets bad, I'll turn the camera off, but I think it's doable, and I want to do this. This just feels time sensitive to bring this video to you. It's also blinking hot here in the UK today, and we don't have air conditioning in our home. So if I get very glowy through this video, this is what would come in my room at the moment. My office is 25 degrees and it's 50% humidity. So it's hot. I'm hot. But anyway, let's press on and see what wants to come through in this video. I'm going to start off with a card. I wanted to honour the Australian heritage. So I went to a deck, which I've pulled from before for him, called the Aboriginal Dreamtime Oracle by Mel Brown. I can't remember what the last card was that we pulled for him. I know it was very appropriate, but I mean, I don't think it was this one, unless it is the same card I've pulled again. I don't know. You'll have to tell me. We got the card of Sacred Beginnings, and I want to read to you what it says, because this explains probably better than I can how important this is with regards to the wider meaning linked into freedom. So, Sacred Beginnings. It's just a short little message. It says, back when the sun was still weak and the world was still in its pre-dawn phase. Think about pre-dawn phase linked into this new earth that wants to emerge from the old. The first seed nestled deep within the earth began to fight its way to the surface. The tiny seed could feel the warmth of pre-dawn, and it wanted to push beyond its imprisonment within the earth to see what was creating this wonderful warmth that it had never felt before. I mean, that is just extraordinary, those words. He's being released from imprisonment, literally, and he is landing, well, maybe not in warmth, but in a warmer country typically than here in the UK. I know you're in winter at the moment, Australia. It says the little seed began to grow large roots to stabilise itself for its journey upward. As the seed continued to slowly push its way forth, the other seeds were watching in amazement. We are the other seeds. Never before in their familiar darkness had any other seed wanted to push upward to see where the new warmth was coming from. As the little seed emerged from the earth, it became a small but strong stem. And then, as it was no longer restricted by the soil in the earth, it spread its wings, which grew into leaves. The stem told the other seeds, us, about his journey and growth above the soil. And the other seeds were so excited about the prospect of adventure, they decided they too wanted to grow and have new experiences. So over the next thousands of years, many other seeds found their courage and became brave, covering the world with trees, bushes and flowers, and most importantly, creating a new environment for animals and insects to be born into. That is incredible, I think. It talks about everything starts small and to move forward takes incredible courage. The search for courage is the hardest part of any journey, but in turn it is the ultimate achievement. I've talked about the hero's journey before with Julian, but I just think those words are absolutely where we're at. Interestingly, I woke up this morning to a comment from one of you who'd watched a video that I did 10 years ago linked into what is fifth dimensional consciousness. And you said to me, thank you, you're always ahead of the game, which, thank you. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I think I am, basically. But I think this work is. I think those of you that are linked into this energy on this channel, we're ahead of the game. Julian is a spearhead energy who is also ahead of the game. We're here, as I keep saying, to plant seeds for 7 generations hence. What we might be feeling now, what we might be recognising now as these green shoots of recovery and freedom, even in a difficult world. Others in the future will start to understand how important this moment was. I also rather love the colours on this card. That looks a very Ashtar platinum ray colour. Commander Ashtar is who I'm talking about. I've talked about Commander Ashtar a lot with Julian, and Julian having very high standing within, galactic command, as it were. And, he's one of Ashtar's boys, basically, so one of Ashtar's captains. And he came for a very specific purpose, to bring truth to the surface, to call to account those who need to be called to account. And I feel that's only just started. And one of the most triggered people over the last 24 hours has been Mike Pence, interestingly, who is talking about his release being a travesty and a miscarriage of justice. Mike, I would like to say, this is a voice for now, but also a voice from the future. You were on the wrong side of history. And that's not a Republican versus Democrat statement. It's just to do with the fact that politicians of old, who have that old patriarchal energy within them, and I'm here now being shown somebody like Cheney as well, Blair, Bush, those who take our children, our children that we've born, we've bred, we've brought up to war, for your war, your days are numbered, okay? So really need to be shouting that from the rooftops. So there's going to be much more of that. And I think Julian absolutely deserves his moment to go into the sea, as Stella's talking about this morning. He wants to swim in the sea every day, to feel the sand beneath his toes, absolutely, to have time with his family, his friends, his children, his wife. But he's always going to be, to a degree, a political animal. And I don't know what the future looks like for him. We might take a look in a moment. But he is a formidable energy. I mean, seeing those pictures of him getting off the plane, you know, even the fact that it's a long plane ride, you know, if it was me getting off the plane, I'm sure I'd look a bit more bedraggled than he did. Let's just see if I can find the picture. I screenshotted it for you. But I just thought he looked remarkably fresh, basically, getting off this plane. Oh, that's him on the plane. So I'm sure we've all seen the pictures by now. That's him on the plane. But yeah. Okay, so let's track back then to why this has happened, the surprise that we all woke up to yesterday, the surprise, I think, for him as well. Stella, his wife, is saying she can't stop crying. It's just tears of relief, I'm sure, and joy. 1,901 days, I believe, he spent in Belmarsh Prison. He says he left Belmarsh Prison on the morning of 24th of June after having spent 1,901 days there. Yeah. I mean, obviously he spent longer in the Ecuadorian embassy. He's not been a free man for a lot longer than that. But it's interesting, 1,901 days he spent in Belmarsh Prison in the UK. And remember, this was without charge. This was without having been charged with anything. If you add up 1,901, guess what number you come to? Yes, you are correct, number 11. What do I teach? Number 11 is a wake-up call energy. It is a gateway energy. It's dualistic, but it's very much here. It is the gateway. It's the gateway energy. It's got Metatron all over it. So he was released, I believe, on the 24th. Well, the 24th, 25th, he's arriving on the 26th, so it's sort of straddling all those 3 days. But the 24th of June 2024, thank you, Nikki, for pointing out to me, it was the 24th of the 6th, 24. So that's definitely a nice balance of energies there. If you add up the 24th of the 6th, 2024, you get to 20. 20 is a number which is linked into awakening. 2 and 0 make 2. 2 is a beautiful number of balance. So I love the numbers. You may also not know, but apparently there was, let me get the picture up. Again, very galactic blue. Look at that galactic Ashtar blue energy. This is the result of the sun firing off a massive solar flare. What class solar flare was it? Don't know, but oh yeah, M9.3 class solar flare on June the 23rd. So definitely that energy also helped just to give a final push, is what I'm feeling with regards to his release. But yeah, I just feel the handprints of Ashtar all over this, Archangel Michael all over this, Metatron all over this, but us all over this as well is what I want to say. Us who didn't give up believing that this day was possible. I noticed yesterday in some of the comments, 99.9% of them, 99.999% of them were positive. The only slightly negative ones, and this is just a teaching really for all of us, for subjects not just about Julian, but anything where we see a little glimmer of hope and a little glimmer of light. Don't then squash that light. Don't squash that little seed that's just poked its head above the mud, that's managed to escape from prison with fear. A few people just bringing in an energy of fear, which is like, well, he's not there yet, and anything can happen in 24 hours, all that type of energy, or fearing what's going to happen to him now. He's got this far. Let's keep willing him on, keep sending protection, keep sending love, keep sending healing very much. To a man who is damaged from the years he spent in captivity, particularly with regards to being confined in solitary confinement. But, just be aware of that. That's a shadow energy we do. I don't think sometimes we're even conscious that we're doing it, but fear is the opposite energy of joy. It's the opposite energy of love. It's love and joy which is going to help this ascension process. And these seeds that we're showing now sprouting to grow, okay? We need to coax the light. We need to create an atmosphere which is conducive to growth, not to the opposite, okay? So, yeah, that was the date that he was released then, 1,901 days in Belmarsh. I love the fact also it's cancer season and he is a Cancerian, born on the 3rd of July. He's released back home in time for his birthday, just within days of cancer season kicking in. So that's lovely. And again, that number 20, linking back to the 24th of the 6th, 2024, 20 is also linked into the energy of the moon. 2 is the moon. So again, we've got another nod to cancer season, also helping to release the bondage here as well. What else do I want to say before I do any cards? I noted just with a wry smile that, well, I want to talk about compromise in a moment, because compromise is something that we really need to get our heads around, because it is a pathway towards violet pill and towards unity consciousness. We're going to have compromise along the path to unity, and we're going to have compromise sometimes on the path towards awakening. I know not all of you will agree with me saying that, but it is what I truly feel. And it might very well be a word and an energy and a quality that we come back to more and more actually in my videos, because I've not really talked about it before. Because some people are sort of saying there was a compromise there because he was released having accepted a plea deal. He had to basically admit to being guilty to one hacking charge on American soil. Now, he never went back to USA. He went to Saipan, which is this island, which I must admit I had never heard of, but it's in the Pacific Ocean, I believe, nearer to Australia than certainly the UK. American soil, where he pleaded guilty to that one charge. And the promise was that if he did that, his sentence would basically be the time that he has already spent in prison. Does this set a dangerous precedent? Yes, in some ways, because what we've got here is retrospective sentencing, which, is not good. Retrospective sentencing, but equally, the man had served his time. He deserves to be back with his family. I mean, I don't believe he deserved to spend any time, but we have to bring in the energy of compromise. So for him, I don't blame him at all for doing that. One man or one woman can only do so much. Getting it over the line in terms of where we need to get to in our world with regards to freedom of speech being just one small thing that we're fighting for. I mean, it's a big thing, but there's so many other things we're fighting for as well. Requires a team effort. You can't expect one person to do it all, okay? He did more than anybody else probably ever would. And he did more than most of us would, and we should thank him and congratulate him for doing that. As I say, I feel as though his days with regards to campaigning aren't really over. He might say it is in the press conference. I don't know whether he will or not, but I don't feel as though that is a long-term solution for him, because I feel as though there's always going to be stirrings in his soul when he sees an injustice, because it's just who he is as a man. But for now, let him enjoy this period of peace. I loved what the judge, a female judge, said. in Saipan when she basically released him. Yes, she was on orders to do so, but equally, you know, we've seen ourselves, haven't we? If you ever watch any of these, you know, court proceedings on YouTube, for example, or your television, there are different qualities of judge. And sometimes the words that come out of a judge's mouth are really beautiful and honest and heartfelt. And again, we should say thank you to that. There are good judges within the judicial system as well. And I don't know whether I said this at the beginning of the video or not, but yes, shout out to the female judges. It was the female judges that have helped get this over the line as well, including the female judge in the UK who, sorry if I've said this already, I've tried to record this a couple of times, who basically denied the US its request to extradite him recently. And what was going to have to happen was that there was going to have to be another big case. It was going to have to go back to the drawing board. The American government were going to have to present their case again. Assange would have to present his case again. It had been going on for years. And, you know, it was that female judge that was partly responsible for saying you haven't given enough evidence of proof that if he comes back to American soil, he won't be harmed. So in this instance, we're denying extradition and you have to basically present your case again. So a female judge in UK, also a female judge in Saipan. The female judge in Saipan said this, I'm sure she said much more, but this was the bit that I copied down. She said, "You'll be able to walk out of here a free man. I hope there will be some peace restored. Now there is some peace you need to restore within yourself, and when you walk out and pursue your life as a free man." Something like that, maybe a little bit lost in translation, but she was basically wishing him well and wishing him peace, which she didn't really have to do, but she did, and I think that was really nice. Okay, so where was I? Oh yes, I wanted to say this. So powers that were that are struggling to keep a foothold is what I'm hearing. Even though we're seeing lots of evidence of the fact that they're gaining ground, it is what Metatron is calling slippery ground. They don't have secure footholdings as they did in the past, because more and more of us are waking up to all sorts of untruths. We know this. But I did just notice a sort of tit-for-tat response yesterday. I don't know if anybody else caught it. Now, I am not a big fan of this guy, before I say his name, okay? I'm not. Some of you might be, but I'm not. So I'm not endorsing what he stands for. But Tommy Robinson, quite a controversial figure here in the UK, was in Canada giving some sort of speech or lecture tour. I'm not sure what he was doing out there, but many people would regard Tommy as a bit of a freedom fighter as well. He's a bit rough and ready. He is I won't even say what he's associated with. You either love him or you don't like him. I'm not a big fan personally, but what is that famous saying, which is that I don't have to agree with what you're saying, but I will stand up for your right to say it, okay? And that's where I am on this subject of freedom of speech. But anyway, the point was, as Assange was released, Tommy Robinson was arrested in Canada on some sort of trumped up charge linked into a passport issue or something. But effectively he did his speech and then the police were sort of waiting and he was put into a cell. I think he's been released now, but he's not allowed to travel anywhere else in Canada. It literally felt like powers that were throwing their toys out of the pram, which is that we've had to do this, we've had to release this guy, Assange, so we're just going to make a point here of somebody else. We're going to make a show of somebody else just to keep the masses scared, in terms of don't speak out, because if you do and you don't play the game we want you to play, you'll be banged up like Tommy. So that was just interesting. And yes, it happened in Trudeau's Canada. Not surprising. I will do a video on Canada at some point soon, I promise. There's definitely cause for concern there with regards to freedom of speech, that's for sure. But anyway, let's keep on track. Let's just talk about Assange. So I've mentioned Tommy. I've asked us to keep Assange, in our thoughts and protection. This thing about saving face, basically. That's what I get. It's this thing about saving face. I feel as though the Americans knew that they wouldn't win the appeal, basically. I also feel as though there was an energy of throwing in the towel, not wanting to fight another round of this. As I said, it had been going on for years. And so as a result of that, to save face, it's like, oh, just put him on a plane, get him out of here. Because I tell you what, I don't know how it's reading in America and how much coverage it's had, but it has been covered here in the UK quite extensively. All of the mainstream papers have covered it, but we haven't had a single statement from the Prime Minister about it. I haven't seen anything. I might be wrong there, but as of today, I don't believe the Prime Minister has said a single thing about this guy's release, or any other leading politician. So it's like just try and hush him away. It's like, okay, you've won, but we're not gonna say anything or glorify it in any way. So I get the energy of saving face there. Obviously, Australian pressure also had come into bear in terms of the Premier there, and I said that in my last video that I did say that the period between them denying extradition and the next appeal or the next case to be presented, that was the window. That was the window where the Australian government in particular, and us, all the people that have been fighting for this guy's freedom, that was the window where we could really get the win, basically. Interestingly, when I was linking into Ashtar's energy before, what he showed me was this window of opportunity again, which obviously has fortunately been taken and grasped with both hands. But I was being shown the window of opportunity as two timelines, like two ribbons, and it's as though here's one timeline, here's the other one, and it's like Ashtar was prizing these two timelines apart just momentarily to like push the baby through, and the baby being Julian's new life. It's really quite interesting. So whether that's something that Ashtar and higher beings can do from time to time, which is just that, it's just like we think there's this timeline, there's that timeline, whereas actually if we can just stretch them, we can pop something new through it. We can stretch time as well, is what I'm hearing. We can stretch time. Can you hear a plane going overhead as I'm talking? Sounds a bit like a Chinook. Interestingly, whether it is or not, I've had that before when I've read on Assange. It's almost like keeping a watch over what you're doing. So are they going to keep a watch over him? I mean, he has been released on probation. No, sorry, he has been released not under probation, not under supervision. He's literally been released a free man. But let's face it, we're all watched to a degree, and to a large degree, actually. I'm sure that was one of the famous things that Julian said, wasn't it? Some famous quote about the fact we're all watched. If you've got one of these, you've already thrown your freedom away to a large extent, because they know everything they need to know about you. They know your preferences, they know what you watch, they know who you support, they know who you follow, they know what you say, they know who your family are. They know, basically. And if you're stepping out of line, they know. Absolutely, there have been cases here in the UK of people commenting on social media about maybe contentious things and getting a knock on the door from the police. These are days that I never thought would arrive, really, but it is where we're at. But let's keep positive, okay? Because I still go back to the fact that this is a momentous moment for the light. And that green shoot, Julian, has managed to poke his head above the soil, the imprisonment. And really, yes, he's still important, but it's now about all those other seeds below the ground, which is you and me and everybody else who thinks if he can do it, so can I. And it's excuse the pun, it's a grassroots movement that grows and grows and grows. And, Metatron's making me laugh because he's saying, and they're not going to be able to keep the lawn mowed, okay? So they're not going to be able to keep it, nice and controlled and just looking a certain way and in a certain area. You're going to be having all these grassy areas sprouting up everywhere. The grass is us, of course. So that's nice. Okay, we'll do some cards. Oh yeah, I wanted to say this as well. This is beautiful. This is about the power of the collective. So you may or may not know, but one of the conditions of his release was that he had to fund his flight himself, basically. I don't know whether it was I don't know who would have paid for it, but certainly the UK didn't pay for it. I don't think the Australians paid for it. Nobody paid for it. So he had a private flight, basically. And yesterday, WikiLeaks put up a GoFundMe, thing to help what's called his freedom flight. It needed to raise something like £500,000. I think over that, £500,000, which is a hell of a lot of money, isn't it? I saw that and I thought, I'm bloody well going to donate to that. So I donated some money and I thought, crikey, I hope it will go up. This morning, donations stand at £313,000. They're well on their way to getting the money that they need for the flight. And indeed, if it hadn't come in, I think you probably would have got some mega rich guy or woman who would have come forward and paid it anyway. But the point I'm making is that a lot of those donations will have come from just like people like you and me that thought, yeah, I'm going to donate to that. That is something I passionately believe in that. And I'm going to fund the freedom flight, basically. So that's a nice story, the fact that all those donations have come in so quickly. Right, before we do cards, this is one other thing I wanted to say about Saipan. Now, as I said to you, I had never, let me just get the article up, I had never heard about this place before, but looking into its history, it's really quite interesting because, and the time period that Julian's landed there, because there's something called the Battle of Saipan, which goes back to the Second World War, which was supposed to be one of the most ferocious, brutal, bloody fights of the Second World War, and it lasted from the 15th of June to the 9th of July, the period that we're in now. And the judge, the female judge in Saipan herself, referenced the fact that Julian's freedom, she also then mentioned the 80 years of independence and freedom that her island, her land is celebrating this year. And it's to do with liberation from the Japanese control, I believe, in the Second World War. But other nations had colonised it. Of course, the USA now owns it in the same way that Britain owns the Falkland Islands off the little bit of Argentina. And it's like sometimes you look at that and you think, crikey, it's a hell of a long way from the UK, in the same way that Saipan is a hell of a long way from the USA. And it's sort of it just seems a bit odd, really, that, why is it American owned? But anyway, we won't get into all of that. But well, no, we will actually, because what I'm picking up is the indigenous ones who have lived there, and it's like their voice starting to come up more into the spotlight. But I do just want to, if you will just bear with me, because I think this is very beautiful, before we get to the cards, I'd like to just read you a very, very short article about this battle for Saipan, because there is, I think it's a book or something. Yeah, it's a collection of stories. It's all linked in this, all linked. It's called We Drank Our Tears. We Drank Our Tears, Remembering the Battle of Saipan. And it's memories. It's a collection of stories which was told by elders, told by indigenous inhabitants of Saipan about their experiences during the battle, which was one of the bloodiest on the Pacific in the Pacific Ocean in World War II. And it actually says here, these stories were related to the next generation of Saipanese who transcribed them, symbolising the importance of oral tradition in this community. Oral tradition, passing down stories that are important, passing down truths that are important via the mouth, by somebody that has actually witnessed what has happened. We're living in a social media age, we're living in an AI age, where increasingly we don't know what's true and what's not. I increasingly am being told by Archangel Metatron, we have to keep going back to the core material, it's called something, I can't remember what it's called now. My market research days, I can't remember what it's called when you go back to the original data, basically. What is the original data? It's the people that actually have lived through it, who can tell us what happened. So something here linked into Julian as well. This is all connected to us remembering how important it is to listen to our elders, to the indigenous ones that lived through something, so that we don't have to repeat the past, basically. I just think that book is a beautiful, what a beautiful thing it's called. We Drank Our Tears. Well, it's sad, but it's also sort of poignantly beautiful. And apparently it's a personal account of individual experiences of the atrocities of war. What was Julian all about? Exposing the atrocities of war and exposing what governments try to cover up, which are atrocities of war. And not just atrocities of war crimes, okay, war crimes. Okay, don't want to make this overly long, but let's just pull a couple of cards. I've got a couple of decks here. So we've already pulled one from the Aboriginal deck, Sacred Beginnings. Should we pull one more? Because I obviously pulled that off camera, but let's just pull one more to go with that. So, one card for Julian at this time. Julian the man, okay? Because, it's like Julian the freedom fighter, Julian the truth speaker, Julian the this, Julian the what, Julian the man. Let's just have a card for Julian the man. We have spirit connection. And I saw that in the deck before I even shuffled it. Spirit connection. He is... I know I'm stating the obvious. If you've watched all my videos on this before, you know this. He's spiritually connected. It's like, duh, of course he is. Because that's why he still looks as good as he does, coming out of 14 years captivity, 5 years pretty much in solitary confinement. Has he put a bit of weight on? Yes, he has, a little bit. Who cares? He's got a bit older. Lots of us get a bit heavier as we get older. But equally, his diet in the prison with no exercise won't have been good. How the hell does he look that good? I mean, he's still got that presence. He's just got this presence. So what has fortified him with regards to horrible diet and lack of exercise and lack of light, lack of sunlight? His spiritual connection. He never lost it. He never lost it. The Ashtar blue. I want to say the yellow feels very much as though this is linked into Archangel Jophiel. Jophiel is linked into the energy of trying to make the best of any situation, trying to see the beauty in any situation, however awful. I wonder what he has been doing during those years of captivity, because yellow is also a colour of wisdom and intellect. I mean, I think he's probably been, I don't know whether he's been studying or he's certainly been reading. It doesn't have to be with regards to what's been going on in the news, but somehow deepening his knowledge, or it could just be an inner quest that he's been going through via, prayer, meditation, or anything else. But I'm feeling as though there's been a learning of the mind. His mind is still very active. Yellow is a colour of the mind. His mind is still very active, and he's been able. In time, he has learnt a lot through this experience he's gone through. And I think he will share it with us as well at some point. We've also got the purple colour, which is linked into forgiveness and Archangel Zadkiel. But this is also the colour of transmutation. It's the colour of Saint Germain. It's the colour of the violet flame. So it feels as though, put it this way, what I'm being shown here is, I've never been in a prison cell, but I would imagine they sort of wash them down occasionally. I'm being shown literally like, not very glamorous, not like powdering, not powdering, with a little polished cloth. No, like a big hose, like you do with animals, literally like a great big hose and like just showering down the cell, no niceties. But it's like I'm being shown it being showered with that transmutive light, the violet light. It just felt as though the violet light was always there. And violet is also a colour that links into balance, to keep his balance, to keep his sanity, basically. Because a lesser man or woman could very well have gone insane during these conditions, literally losing your mind. He didn't lose his mind at all. In fact, if anything, what this card is saying to me is he increased his brain cells. They say when we die, we're losing brain cells from the moment we die, and it gets more evident as you get older and you get more foggy-minded, etc. I just feel as though there was something going on here where analytically and rationally his brain was still firing. I believe he is autistic. Is that correct? I think it is. So there's something about the way his mind is. I don't know what it is, but even if he's in a cell and it's just brick walls, there's something whereby he would have been able to have looked at the grooves in the walls and count them, or there's something, he will always be able to make something from nothing, basically, in terms of if you give him nothing, he'll still be able to grab something from it. So this colour here, this sort of sandy colour, what am I linking to that? I don't know what I'm linking to that. It's an unusual colour. It's the colour of sort of creamy beige. Oh, okay. Well, I just split the deck and we've got the card of dreaming and lotus. So maybe that's just like an astral state. It's like a dream state. I feel as though throughout his captivity, he was always able to feel us. He was always able to feel the support. But there's one thing feeling the support in astral. There's another thing when you come out and you literally see the love that people have for you. And that's really going to sustain him. It's going to be really beautiful. And I think he's going to be absolutely bowled away by the donations that are pouring in to help him to recuperate, plus also to for the freedom flight itself. It's really lovely. Okay, so those are those cards. I wanted to pull a card from the Wisdom of Avalon deck. I'm doing a lot of work at the moment with regards to the return of Camelot, the King Arthur energy, the Knights of the Round Table. I have said repeatedly that the Knights are in every country. It's not linked into just one country or one person, it's everybody. Is Assange a king? Absolutely. Of course he's a king. He represents that to us. That's what it's all about. So let's just see what this deck wants to say with regards to Julian Assange today. And I'm not even going to ask a question. I'm just going to see what does this deck want to say with regards to Julian Assange today, please. We've got the Earth Fairy. We have physical health, grounding and foundations. We've also got the Swan on the bottom of the deck, which would be Stella, I believe. But yeah, so Earth. So, Australian earth, Australian soil, Australian air, Australian land. He needs it. He needs that to ground him back properly into reality, into normal everyday life. He's in the best place. Yes, he's at home, but there's something about the quality of the earth there, and the magic there. This is linked into, it says physical health. So physical health, grounding and foundations. It will help him. Australia will help him to find his feet again. And I can't help but see that these are similar colours in this card. Preparation, these earthy tones. Preparation for whatever's next. I don't know what's next. He doesn't know what's next. It's a time which is not about what's next. It's a time which is about just recharging, grounding, restoring health, and putting your feet back onto the earth, basically, foundation. So we've got the Earth Fairy. The elementals feel as though they're very around him. Oh, it's beautiful because we've channeled for so many years, haven't we, about this galactic energy with him. And now we've got the elemental energy. It's as though he's been sustained by both, as above, so below. So now it's the elementals' turn to come in. The waters of Australia absolutely will heal him. The land will heal him. His people will heal him. It's just beautiful. It's just so beautiful. I also feel that fairy energy is linked into his children as well. Feels as though his children have a very strong elemental energy that also, of course, will nourish him. I just want to pull one card for Stella as well, because we should acknowledge the extraordinary battle that she has waged. And if Assange is a king, then Stella is a queen. And again, don't get, triggered by words such as kings and queens. We're all kings and queens. It's about owning your sovereignty. So let's pull a card for Stella. We have the wind fairy. Yeah, I was just picking up with her. See if Bella's going to stop. No, let me just go and get the door. Oh, that's John coming in. It's okay. It's Bella just trying to ground us all. Yeah, as I was tuning into Stella, I was just feeling this energy like she's all over the place. I don't mean that in a nasty way. I just mean in that literally it's like her feet haven't touched the ground for years. She's had to be thinking 24/7. She's had to be trying to think about the next step all of the time, the next battle, the next argument, not with him, but with, powers that were. She's just formidable. She's just extraordinary. She's an amazing woman, but absolutely exhausting. So her energy just feels very scattered. It's like I'm here, I'm there. It's like I was and packing up a home and all of that as well, and suddenly landing in a different land. So she's got the wind fairy to help her. So he's got the earth fairy, she's got the wind fairy. And this is to do with thoughts, words, and intellectual analysis. My guidance for her would be it's a time to just bring it all back within. Of course, she'll be at the press conference with him and she'll have words to say. Oh, look at that card. I've just pulled that. I just split the deck. Healing journey. That's them. They're on a healing journey. Her mind, it's as though her mind needs to be soothed and brought back into balance, just because she's had 110 things to think about all the time for years. And it feels as though the wind, the element of air, is what she needs to help heal her. And he needs more the element of earth. But they're both on this beautiful healing journey. Oh, look at that card. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love that. It's very twin flame. It's very soulmate. Absolutely gorgeous. All right. I'm tempted to leave it there, but we will pull a couple of dragon cards because I believe that I used the dragon cards last time I was tuning into Assange. So what do we want to ask, basically? Let's just see what comes up. Julian Assange. Today's date, 26th of June, 2024. We've got we've got the universe. Oh my goodness. That feels a bit like what I was shown by Ashtar. I was saying about those ribbons and it's like he was trying to pull them apart. I was seeing like a big eye. This is the end of the cycle. It's the end of the cycle for the beginning of the new. And we've got the Two of Cups on the top of the deck, which is them. Two of Cups, healing journey. They deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. The Three of Cups, celebration, party, rejoicing, good times, basically. Ace of Swords as well, truth. Never get away from the truth. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Other than thank you, universe, for bringing him home. Thank you, all of you, for being on this journey with me on my channel as well, and the times we've looked at Julian. Thank you for caring. Thank you for caring. It's something. I woke up and when I heard the news that he'd been released, I couldn't believe it. I felt so happy. It lifted me so much, and so many of you said the same thing. It's as though it lifted us. Let it lift you higher and higher and higher. And remember that we are these little seedlings that now will grow, and there's going to be more and more growth, more and more people waking up. This isn't over, basically. There's a lot more to come. But for now, let's just wish him well. I'll look forward to watching the press conference later. Let's just see if there's been an update. I'll just go to the WikiLeaks Twitter page, see if they want to, what the latest is there. Might not be anything new, but WikiLeaks, let's just see. WikiLeaks. I'm sure Dame Vivienne Westwood was doing a... Oh yeah, here we go. Well done, sir. He's got his hand in the air. Yeah. Julian Assange is free. Landed on Australian soil. Yeah. Wow. What a journey. Oh, that's a picture of them. Hold on. I know you're probably going to see all this, but Stella and Julian reunited. And it's interesting. You're probably not going to be able to see this, but there's a shape there on the green wall. It looks like another face. It's another face. I'll zoom in on it, whether you'll be able to see it on my camera. It's a face. It feels very much the Green Man. The Green Man. This is the Green Man behind me here. The Green Man, nature healing these two. Look, it's right over their head. 2 eyes and a nose. It's the Green Man energy. Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm going to leave it there. Enjoy watching the press conference later. Thank you very much, as I say, for all of your support, for believing when it felt as though, you know, all hope was lost. We did it. Thank you for all of you who set up grids with me. You know, if you want to keep them up for a bit longer, or what I would do maybe is just, if you feel inclined, do a little healing grid for him or something, or just more than anything, just wish him well, say a prayer for his protection and continued health and happiness, and let's celebrate the win. Lots of love, everybody. Take great care. Bye for now. Bye.